Friends, I am glad to have this opportunity to share some of my thoughts with you on some important areas of action which would call for your personal attention in the coming months and also to hear your reactions. As the chief executives of the banks and chairman of the boards, you have on your shoulders a difficult burden of leadership in a changing society in which there is a growing gap between economic aspirations and achievements. You will have to inform the boards about many important matters which deserve early decisions. You have also the responsibility of ensuring that the deliberations of your boards are purposeful and the resolutions they pass are implemented with speed and efficiency. I am aware that each of the nationalized banks has a history of its own, yet the structure and functioning of many of the banks need to be reshaped in the present context to serve the objectives of nationalization. I need not dilate on what these objectives are. These are well known, but now that a year is over, I think it is an opportune moment to review and have a look towards the future with a sense of direction. It is very important that in planning the operative policies and in their implementation, we have a deep and informed understanding of the social and economic compulsions of the times. The society to which you and I belong wants that a rapid rate of economic growth should be attained quickly and social justice and fair opportunities should be secured for all. If the growing problem of unemployment is to be dealt with successfully, if a steady growth of the economy and steady rise in living standards is to be maintained, and if the glaring disparities as between class and region are to be continually reduced, the rate of both savings and investment has to be increased considerably. At the same time, we have to ensure that the fruits of development are not frittered away by inflationary rise in prices. The role of banks in helping to achieve these aims needs to be more consciously spelled out and clearly understood. Public sector banks are not mere intermediaries in the sense of collecting people's savings and dispersing credit only to make profits. The quality and dynamism of your efforts in inducing and channelizing savings through modernization of deposits and utilizing them in viable productive efforts will be judged by the success of your banks in subserving our basic social and economic objectives. This will call for a new sense of urgency in your task. I need hardly stress that mobilization of bank deposits on a massive scale is crucial for the development of the country. As I see, this will have to be our first strategy in the war on poverty. Unless the deposits rise at a much faster pace, we will not be able to meet the growing needs of economy. Each bank will have to frame its own annual and regional plans and relate its deposit collection to credit disbursement. Deposits not only provide the resources for investment and increasing employment, but they also serve as a means of easing inflationary pressures by fostering the saving habit among the people. It is a matter for grave concern to the government that the overall growth of bank deposits has been sluggish in recent months. I am keen to hear from you not only what in your opinion are the external and internal factors inhibiting the deposit growth, but also and particularly in what manner your banks propose to remove them. Even though a large number of branches have been opened by nationalized banks in rural and semi-urban areas, the impact of this rate of branch expansion on deposit growth still remains to be felt appreciable. We should not feel that our task ends with the opening of branches in rural areas and that deposits will be coming into the banks on their own. The results have been encouraging in isolated pockets, but by and large, the experience so far has been far from satisfactory. For instance, in Punjab, the rural areas of which are enjoying greater prosperity than before and possibly than most other areas in the country, the rate of growth of deposits in the first 9 months of 1969 was barely 7%, which was lower than the all India average. I would suggest that a case study should be made of the efforts for deposit mobilization which have been made in Punjab by all banks during the last 1 year. A study in depth of this subject should be interesting not only for the banks operating in Punjab but also for those in the other parts of the country. I am sure you will agree with me that new methods of deposit mobilization will have to be evolved without delay, and these will have to be qualitatively different for rural and semi urban areas as against urban and metropolitan cities. The methods will also have to be varied to suit the habits, needs, and social preferences of people in different parts of the country. Traditional banks have built up their image to suit the urban literate and well to do client, and their operating methods and procedures are tailored mostly to fit his needs. This image must change quickly. We will have to admit that the change in our approach has not been adequate. Customer service and its reorientation has to be understood in this context. Improvement of customer service does not mean imitation of techniques which are current in the Western countries. Proper research and survey in different parts of the country will have to be conducted for objective assessments as to why the vast majority of our people do not go to the banks and what new range of service and technique should be introduced to encourage the banking habit in different income groups among people of different aptitudes and with different social motivations. Our primary aim will have to be to reach the areas which have so far been unbanked. You will agree that the drive for deposit mobilization and opening new accounts in the rural areas cannot go on for the whole year. Concerted and concentrated efforts will therefore be necessary to approach the cultivators during the time of the harvesting of the crops when the ready cash will be available in their hands. Secondly, our propaganda and advertising for deposit mobilization in the rural areas will have to be considerably different from that in the urban areas. This would call for a great deal of imagination and understanding of the psychology of a farmer. Please think on these lines.